Majority, Sharky,
Yes,
in relation to the DSWD. Just one, doon sa aming distrito, USEC, sa 139 barangays, 17 barangays pa lamang ang na-cover ng DSWD o ng SAP. Pwede ba naming i-endorse ito sa NCR, yung mga hindi pa nakatanggap ng social immersion program? Yun lang po. Any ASEC or USEC?
Sir, can you please repeat the question po, sir?
Doon po sa aking distrito, out of 139 barangays, ang sabi sa akin, only 17 barangays ang na-cover ng SAP. So pwede ba naming i-refer yung ibang barangay na hindi nakatanggap sa NCR, DSWD, for checking or whatever you'd like to do about it?
Yes, sir. Even before po, we asked our barangay officials and na magbigay po sila sa atin ng mga tinatawag naming left out, as what we termed left out. Yun pong hindi nakasama sa unang allocation po natin.
Okay.
And then we were trying to lobby po sa IATF nga to provide for these left out beneficiaries because we know po naman talaga when we started the SAP TWG, the DSWD is aiming for the universal po sana na provision of the SAP. But then again, due to the limitation, meron nga po tayong cap na 18 million. But then again, we recognize what you are feeling on the ground. That's why we ask for the LGUs to submit to the DSWD the list of the left out beneficiaries. And we were lobbying it po sa IATF na sana nga po mag-grant po sila. So we will welcome po yung submission nyo po nito and then we will forward this to the NCR na may coverage po sa barangay nyo po.
Okay. Salamat po.
Okay.
Welcome po.
We understand that there are a lot of concerns for the DSWD, and I understand that the slide presentation of the DSWD is ready. Could the DSWD be ready to make a representation of their slides? And if there are any other questions from the media, Darren, if not, we can ask the DSWD to go ahead if they are ready with their slide presentation that was not able to launch earlier. So that will be for the benefit of all.
Yes, Mr.
DSWD,
Chair.
are you ready? Darren?
Yeah, we shall give way to the DSWD because some questions might be answered from their presentation.
Correct. So maybe if they are ready at this point, we can proceed with the presentation of the DSWD that was not able to be launched earlier with the Secretary. DSWD, are you ready? You have to unmute your
Unmute.
Yeah. Yes. Is the DSWD ready? I understand that you're ready to make us the slide presentation.
Yes, we are now ready to present it.
Thank you, sir. Please go ahead.
May I request the Secretariat to show the slide presentation? Maybe ito ba? Just hold on while we are fixing yung presentation. Pero wala pa, no?
Secretariat nila.
Secretariat nila yung... Yes. Sir, naka-plus na ba sa screen yung aming presentation? I just want to know.
Not yet. So I understand that you furnished that to our Secretariat in
Yes, we did. Yes.
Okay, Darren, are you ready to put up the the slide presentation on our screens?
Yes, sir. We'll pull it out, sir. One moment.
And sir, who will be presenting for the DSWD?
I will be presenting, sir.
Okay,
Yusek.
thank you, Yusek.
I could see now the presentation. So let me start by saying good afternoon to everyone. especially to the honorable member of the House. The purpose of this presentation is to apprise the honorable member of the House on the implementation of social amelioration program and our safety nets in COVID-19 crisis. The COVID-19 health crisis poses a grave threat to the biological, psychosocial, and socioeconomic well-being of the Filipino people. As the lead implementing agency of social protection, the DSWD has not only taken part in carrying out the Social Amelioration Program, or SAP, but also modified of its regular programs to be responsive to the concerns and issues of the poor, vulnerable, and disadvantaged. Hence, I will be presenting the status of the Social Amelioration Program of the DSWD, along with the initiatives conducted in adjusting our regular programs. Next slide. The DSWD has received a total of 196 billion for the emergency subsidy of SAP. Next slide. The first tranche was duly received on the 2nd of April, which amounted to 100 billion pesos. The 96 billion peso budget for the second tranche was received on 17th of April. Next slide. As stated by Republic Act 11469, or the Bayanihan to Heal as One Act, 18 million eligible families are to be supported by the Social Amelioration Program. Next slide. The breakdown of the 18 million families is as follows: 4.3 million four-piece families, 13.5 million for the non-four-piece low-income families, and 90,000 families from the Transportation Network Vehicle Service, or TNVS, and public utility vehicle drivers. Next slide. With the mentioned breakdown of beneficiaries, around 100 billion pesos is allocated for the first tranche. Next slide. 18% of the 100 billion peso budget is allocated for four-piece. 81% or 80.8 billion pesos is designated for non-four-piece, and 1% for the 90,000 families of the transportation group. Next slide. As of 30 April 2020, 10.1 million families have been served. Next slide. 3.7 million families from the four-piece, 6.3 million families for the non-four-piece, and 40,418 families for the transportation group. This data also reflect the report as of 30 April. Next slide. 53.8 billion pesos was received by identified 10.1 million families. Next slide. 37.1 billion pesos, of which has been already received by the 6.2 million non-four-piece families. Meanwhile, 3.7 million four-piece families were provided with a total of 16.3 million pesos worth of emergency subsidy. Lastly, 323.3 million pesos was given to the 40,000 families of the transportation group. Next slide. To identify the progress of the number of beneficiaries served over the last month, the table comparing the served number of families versus the target number is as shown. Again, we would like to reiterate that 85% of the poor-fish families have been served. 47% of the non-poor-fish have already received the emergency cash subsidy, and 45% of the 90% transportation group families have been given aid. Next slide. For the budget utilization, 88% of the allocated budget for poor-fish have been used. 44% of the 80.8 billion was provided to the non-poor-fish low-income families, and 45% have been spent to support 40,000 families from the transportation group. To better understand how the social amelioration was implemented, allow me to present the timeline of the overall execution of the said program. Next slide. As I have mentioned, we have received the first tranche on 2nd April, which composed of the 51% of the budgetary requirements from the Department of Budget and Management. The DSWD has distributed the emergency subsidies the following day, seeing that there is a need to distribute the financial at the soonest possible time. 84% of the total target of poor-fish household have received a total amount of 16.3 billion pesos. On the same day, 4,250 clients were provided assistance from COVID-19 related concern issues to regular AIC funds. Field offices of the department were dedicating most of their time in ensuring that memorandum of agreement was signed by the local chief executive of the LGUs to ensure that the amount to be transferred to them be properly allocated to rightful beneficiaries, as the key role of the LGUs in distributing the cash subsidy. Next slide. On 8 April 2020, 45% of the 90,000 Transport Network Vehicle Service and PUB beneficiaries were provided with emergency subsidy amounting to 323 million pesos. 3 days later, 52,518 low-income non-poor-fish families received their emergency cash assistance, signifying that the process of coming to terms with the provisions of MOA and the transferring of funds have been already accomplished. Next slide. As such, on 15 April, the department, through the field offices, has forged an agreement on SAP with 1,387 cities and municipalities, and a total of 1,228 LGUs were provided with funds amounting to 65 billion pesos. To date, 1,516 LGUs have signed a MOA with us, and 80.8 billion pesos have been transferred. On 17 April, we have received 49% of budgetary requirements for the second tranche from the Department of Budget Management. Next slide. These are our safety nets. According to United Registered Social Workers, an average of 50 cases of abuses per region is being handled by the group. In NCR alone, 200 cases was handled. Nature of cases were anxiety, panic attack, sleep disorder, economic, stranded, rape, incest needed rescue, and medical assistance. Majority of cases are female, mostly mothers with children. The DSWD was able to partner with the United Registered Social Workers of or NAFSWE to address gender-based violence and other child abuses through online psychological first and psychological support services. The DSWD enjoined the joint statement issued by the Philippine Commission on Women, Department of Health, Department of Interior and Local Government, and Commission on Human Rights and Population Commission. The DSWD is in the process of putting up dedicated helplines with trained personnel to do online counseling and gender-based violence and child abuses. Next slide. The assistance to individuals in crisis situations, or AICS, serves as a social safety net or a stopgap mechanism to support the recovery of individuals and families from unexpected crises, such as illness or death of a family member, natural or human-induced disaster, and other difficult situations. This covers the provisions of medical, burial, educational, food and non-food assistance to enable them to afford food and other immediate needs. To date, 32,823 clients were provided assistance, including 6,478 stranded individuals, in the total amount of 139.8 million pesos. Next slide. Identifying that there is a necessity to continuously delve into and respond to the early learning needs of children, the Supplementary Program, or SFP, will start its implementation to contribute to the Early Childhood Care and Development Program of the government. The guidelines on the implementation of the SFP, or Supplementary Feeding Program, during community quarantine period and other similar emergencies were circulated to field offices for the reference in conducting such activities. In the said document, the SFP is to be carried out during community quarantine. Children with age range of 2 to 5 years old, as identified by the Operations Timbang, result as SAC, are prioritized. To minimize physical contact and exposure, the monitoring and evaluation will be conducted every 15 days, and the workers are to distribute the food items based on their preferred modality. These guidelines will likewise be applicable in the event that another similar emergency will occur. We, in the DSWD, take issues of children seriously, and we will ensure that their nourishment and development needs are accounted for. Next, for non-food and food items. Along the lines of disaster response management, the DSWD processes donated and procured relief goods, receiving, packing and repacking, warehousing, allocating, and delivering the family food packs. Consequently, the DSWD manages disaster resource operations at strategic locations in the country that serve as production hubs and warehouses for relief goods. As such, 579,558 family food packs have been distributed to LGUs, which is equivalent to 238.4 million pesos. Next slide. On the social pension, for the needs of our senior citizen, the social pension in the total amount of 710.5 million pesos have been distributed to 289,103 beneficiaries. The department is committed in ensuring that the figures presented in the screen will increase in the following days. Next slide. For Balik Probinsya program, considering that the National Capital Region is one of the hotspots for COVID-19, doubled by the congestion with the families coming from provinces due to the lack of economic opportunity in the rural areas, lack of access to basic support services in the provinces. The guidelines on the Balik Probinsya program is being revisited. The creation of an interagency committee and assistance packages are looked into to bring back willing families to their respected provinces. Next slide. On the residential facilities. The DSWD has issued guidance on the protection, prevention, safety of residents and personnel at the center and residential care facilities regarding the COVID-19 health crisis. This is to ensure that each residential care facility has its contingency plan in the prevention and protection of the residents and personnel based on the protocol set by the Department of Health. Next slide. On our initiatives, in the light of recent events, the department has promoted health initiatives for the welfare of the members of the DSWD family. As such, dormitories, transportation support, sanitations, mobile phones, and subsidized meals are ensured to provide further help for our staff. Secretariat, could you go on? Yes, thank you. Just go on, yes. Temporary dormitory of personnel on skeletal force and front lines are also available. Altered the routes and pickup points and added 2 shuttle services to transport DSWD's skeletal workforce from the residence to central office and vice versa. There are now 19 shuttle services provided by the administrative services, shuttle services, on-call staff of various offices are also assured. Moreover, regular disinfection and sanitation activities in all offices on all weekends on March and April are implemented. The checking of body temperatures of all employees and visitors entering the DSWD main gate are strictly monitored. Also, alcohol and sanitizers near boundary clocks, elevators, comfort rooms, and DSWD main gates are placed. Also, installation of double drive partitions at the crisis prevention unit to facilitate payouts and plastic partitions in the interviewing areas of social workers and clients. Moreover, mobile phones with SIM cards, loads for operation centers are also monitored. Lastly, subsidized meals to the SWD personnel starting from March 20 are provided. The average number of meals per week for the breakfast is some 3,000 and for lunch some 3,000. Next slide. With all this, the Department of Social Welfare and Development stands firm in advocating for the rights and well-being of the poor, vulnerable, and the disadvantaged. With that, maraming salamat at magandang hapon muli sa inyong lahat.
Maraming salamat, Yusek, at saka sa DSWD family for making that presentation. Mas malinaw ngayon at siguro mas naintindihan natin that will go a long way in making sure that we have a better understanding. I understand now that Darren from the media group, Darren, there's still a question to be asked.
Well, sir, the questions about addressed to DSWD, I think, have been answered already based on the answers given before the presentation and during the presentation. We have now a question to Dole. This is from Miss Bing Godoy Ayang of Sunshine Media. The question is, what program for relief covers construction workers or transport workers who lost their jobs during due to the quarantine? How much is allocated? How much is really needed to cover these displaced workers? That is the question. Thank you.
Kindly repeat po. I don't have the audio earlier.
Yes, ma'am. What program for relief covers construction workers or transport workers who lost their jobs due to quarantine? How much is allocated? How much is really needed to cover these displaced workers? Thank you po.
Okay, some of the construction workers have been covered either by camp or TUPAD, but in terms of the reach of the department for camp and TUPAD, not much have been assisted. So, kung titingnan nyo po yung camp applications namin with about 1.6 million applicants, workers involved, we only served around 650,000. So that leaves us almost 1 million unserved camp applicants. For TUPAD, it's the same. We only reached about 300,000 workers. So practically yun lang po. Sa dami po ng mga ibinibigay rin po sa amin na concerns on construction workers, on drivers, we can only accommodate so much.
Okay,
Thank you,
Darren?
ma'am. I'd like to pass the mic to Kong Sharky Palma.
Okay,
Thank
Sharky
you.
for the congressman.
Thank you, Darren. Thank you, Majo. Is there any representative from the DTI?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, Kong Sharky.
Thank you po, ma'am. Good afternoon. Ma'am, ang question lang po is, can you define the essential projects under the ECQ at saka or differentiate rather, the essential projects under the ECQ and then the priority projects under the GCQ? How does it differ po?
Palagay ko kung ito ay i-finalize pa ng IATF. So,
okay, so hindi pa siya finalized po?
Hindi pa po kasi narinig namin kanina kasi merong mga regional offices namin na nagpo-post na based on certain information, and we were asked by our Office of the Secretary to hold the announcement of this because this has not yet been finalized by the IATF.
Okay po. Sige po. Thank you. So I'd defer the further questions on these matters. Let me go to another question po. Back to the DSWD po. DSWD. Sir, kanina po nabanggit po natin yung redress grievance mechanism natin. May we have an idea as to how many complaints or irregularities or anomalies have been reported to your office, and in contrast, how many has the DSWD addressed the matter?
Cumulative, we have a figure of more or less 4,000 na, and most of these complaints or grievances were acted upon or responded by yung nasa telepono namin.
Sir, can you give us the online the hotline numbers and the online web pages so that we can help also in disseminating this numbers and hotline numbers to our constituents?
Okay.
Yes po. So we will just get it from you later on. Para ma-forward lang namin sa mga constituents din namin. Then, there are no other questions here, sir, but one more. Yung PhilHealth contribution, many are complaining about the proposed increase in the social media na especially the OFWs are asking with regard to the PhilHealth premium contribution and collection payment of the Filipino members. I don't know who can answer this one, but these are questions propounded to us by a blogger. Yung siguro in another na lang forum to because this PhilHealth ang tinatanong eh. Anyway, just one more, sir, yung ano na lang, some of our members have uh, proposed that we use the community-based monitoring system for the in assistance lang po sa ating determination of our recipients and the exact number of our household in each barangay, as well as that of the Chairman Sarmiento's proposal to use the Project Listo, which also involves the DSWD and barangays to submit the number of houses in the respective barangays so that we can update our system and list, especially yung listahan po natin as regards the former National Household Targeting System natin. So these are just the recommendations to use the community-based monitoring system and the project listo of the Honorable Chairman Edgar Sarmiento. So that will be all from the members of the House. Thank you very much po.
Thank you so much. Yes,
Can I just
yes.
can I just like pinpoint one issue for some ano lang with DSWD?
Go ahead, DSLA.
I just would like to share, for example, one moment.
Regarding
Anyway, hindi sa DSWD, yung mga nakuha namin sa Facebook, for example, poor families na talaga nakatira sa lupa na hindi nakakuha. Then yung mga proof na, for example, one family sementado na at may SUV, dalawang sasakyan, and yet beneficiary. So we're just appealing to DSWD. Sana, I'm sure they're getting 1,000 complaints, but I hope that they can act even 1, 2, or 3. Kahit konti lang, madisiplina ng ibang barangay at mayor para lang matuto na po, sir. Because alam naman na we're all one here in wanting that everything should be fully accounted and transparent. But sa akin, may masampulan na isang kapitan, isang mayor dyan na very obvious ang ginawang kalokohan. I think hindi na maulit to, lalo na meron pang second
I agree.
execute.
I agree.
Yes, yes po. Hello po, Kong El Rey. We welcome the suggestion of the good congressman, and we have our strategic communications group po who are collating all this evidence po ng mga misdeeds and misrepresentation and ineligibility of our beneficiaries. Nandun po sa guidelines ng DSWD sa Omnibus Guidelines number 9 na we will be conducting on-site validation and post-audit validation. So ito pong mga reports nyo will be used by the DSWD in order for us to do this post-audit validation and will come up with recommendations for cases and for ineligibility and disqualification po of the beneficiaries po, sir. So we will do that po, sir.
Ma'am, thank you. But what we're asking is, I will send you later in 5 minutes, send me your email. We already have proof, validate nyo na agad. At if proven na talagang violation, na meron naman talaga, sana as workers in government, dapat sampulan na natin itong mga taong to. I'm not saying naman na marami to, no? But whether 100, 1,000 yan, marami pa rin and pangloloko pa rin po. And we're here to help the SWD po. We're supporting your whatever you do para madisiplina po itong mga taong ito.
Yes,
Okay.
sir. Opo. We will do that. Actually, we're aiming po na before the second tranche talaga, we have conducted series of post-audit validation para po talagang mas reliable and credible po yung second tranche po natin.
Okay. DSLA, are we okay with that?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Majo.
Yes, sir. And to our co-chair, Ma'am Lucy Torres Gomez, are you okay? Okay. Well, yet again, today's meeting should inspire us to stay united and hopeful. The cooperation displayed here today encourages us to work even more closely with our counterparts in the executive branch and to be more creative and responsive. I would like to thank our resource speakers, the DSWD Secretary, Orlando Bautista and his family, as well as the Dole Secretary Bebo Bello and the Dole family, and DTI Secretary Ramon Lopez and his family for taking time out despite your busy schedules to join us in discussing the burning issues foremost in the minds of our people. I likewise acknowledge the co-chairpersons of the Social Amelioration Cluster of the Defeat COVID-19 Special Committee, especially Deputy Speaker L.A. Villafuerte and Congresswoman Lucy Torres Gomez for their sterling performance today and their very, very lucid and very, very clear presentations, for their persistence and hard work, and the members of the House who joined us today. You're quite visible here, and we thank you for your time observing patiently and fielding questions through our Deputy Majority Floor Leader, Sharkey, and for continuing to the representation of the interests of our countrymen, especially the weakest among us. Let me express our gratitude to our friends in the media as well for their participation in the meeting. We seek their assistance in bringing information to our people on what we in the Congress and the Executive Branch are doing to help ease the pain and uncertainty brought about by these extraordinary times. Finally, on behalf of the Speaker, the Chair wishes to acknowledge the assistance of the House Secretariat, led by Secretary General John Montales, and for his entire team, and for everyone and all the staff of the House of Representatives. Thank you so much for your hard work and support. Alam ko, nalipasan ng gutom na lahat dito. Almost 4 hours na tayo dito.
Gutom na kami.
May virtual lunch naman isa-serve ni Sec Gen, Chairman West. Pero sa lahat po, maraming salamat po sa pasyensya, sa pakisamahan nyo dito, sa pag-ugnayan natin dito. Again, to our presenters today, maraming salamat, DSL Ray and Kong Lucy, you did a fantastic job. Maraming salamat. We shall adjourn this meeting and we shall be seeing each other very soon. So everyone have a fine lunch, and virtual or otherwise, and we'll see you soon. Maraming salamat.
Thank you.
Thank you, Majo.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
sirs.
Majo.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank
Salamat
you,
sa
Kong.
DSWD, DTI, and Dole. Thank you po sa
Yes,
inyo lahat.
Thank
to
you.
all our cabinet secretaries and their respective families. Maraming salamat.
Thank you.
Oh, I'd like to acknowledge before we go, our chairman for poverty alleviation, Congressman Along Malapit, and I'm sorry, I just saw you now. So thank you also. I know that you've been participating, and this has a lot of bearing and relevance to your committee. Maraming salamat po sa participation niyo po ngayon tanghali. Thank you. Thank you.
Just to say
Yes.
something, if I may. I would
Yes,
like
sir.
to congratulate Kong El Ray tsaka si Kong Lucy. Napakaganda ng kanilang presentation.
Yes, napakaganda.
Napaluha pa ako nung pinakita niya yung isang manggagawa natin na nawalan ng trabaho at nangangailangan ng tulong.
Kung sa totoo lang po, silang dalawa grabe talaga yung nakikita nila malasakit. And in fact, they are very humble in saying that their presentation is a distillation, a collation of all your inputs and insights. Kaya we are very, very happy that they did such a fantastic job today. Napakalina, napaka-effective, and I think it will go a long way in helping the executive, helping us and the president, most of all, in defeating COVID. Maraming salamat.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you. Congratulations, Majo.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, DS, and thank you to our speaker, Sec Gen. Thank you. Sharky, Minority, Vice Bishop Benny. Wala nang closing prayer,
Kay
Bishop
Sec Gen
Benny.
Joel and kay Darren, maraming salamat.
Yeah, Sec Gen Joel, thank you.
Sec Gen, thank you. Well done, Darren.
Yes,
And of course,
thank you.
our to Sina Bayani and to JX of the Philippine Sign Language. Thank you for interpreting for us. You did a fantastic job once again.
And also the
Maraming
members
salamat.
of the media, thank you for your patience.
Yes, they're always with us, our friends. Wala nang open forum. They are actually part of the technical working group na. So we can adjourn the meeting, Sec Gen?
Yes, thank
Please
you.
inform the speaker that we've decided to adjourn kasi nagugutom na si Chairman Wes Gatchalian.
Mabuhay
Okay.
si Wes.
Mabuhay si Wes.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Sharky. Thank you so much. And thank you,
Thank you, Majo.
Chairman